Hey everybody, it's your old pal Ken, aka Sleaze Grinder. I have a podcast that I want you to check out. It's called Heavy Leather Record Club. It's down below in the description. Man, it's got the new releases, it's got the new arrivals, it's got rants, it's got raves, it's got me, it's got Stacy, it's got all your pals talking about music. It's a lot of fun. Also, so check it out. Also, if you like the videos, please subscribe. All right, same deal as last week. I am going to show you some new arrivals while I wait for the rest of the gang to show up to do the show, and I'll break it up into a few videos. By the way, if you're wondering what the shirt says, then ain't that the truth? All right, let's get to it. This first guy, huge fan, Giorgio Moroder, one of the prime architects of disco, of course, produced I Feel Loved by Donna Summer, which has to be in the top 5 dance tracks of all time for anybody. But of course, he had a solo career this whole time as well. Picked up this one recently from Stereo Jacks, 1976, early in the disco era. But here we go. It's Nights in White Satin. Now, it's on Casablanca, of course. If you're asking yourself, okay, so is this a cover of the Moody Blues? Yes, it's definitely a cover of the Moody Blues, many times over. In fact, so the first side is Nights in White Satin, In the Middle of the Night, K-Night, and then Nights in White Satin again. So essentially, it's like 20 minutes of disco-fied Nights in White Satin. And then there's a couple of 3 Giorgio originals on the B-side, including I Wanna Funk With You Tonight and Oh L'Amour, which is pretty great. So, a great early disco record by the king, Giorgio. What is happening They appear to be in a sauna. Everybody's wearing clothes, though. Here's Giorgio. They're waiting for Giorgio for something. Is the orgy about to start? One would hope. I think that's the way disco worked. This next one, I realized that there was a very glaring gap in my Slayer collection. And, this record hasn't been that out of print. I just couldn't find it, and it just recently got reissued. So I snatched it up, and it is, of course, Slayer's Rain and Blood. Third album, if you don't count Haunting the Chapel as an album, which because it wasn't, it's an EP, or Live Undead, because it wasn't, it's an EP. And it's a killer. In fact, if you ask me, greatest thrash metal record of all time. And I also enjoy the brevity of it. I think it's in and out in under 30 minutes. It's all you need. Kill, crush, destroy, get out, move on. Yep. Love it. Never went to see Slayer, which I regret. A lot of bands that I never actually saw, just because I always assumed, well, they'll always be Motorhead, the Ramones, Slayer, the Cramps, Prince. You always figure there's going to be a next time. And then you run out of next times. That's the way it goes. Now this next band, I tried not to run out of next times, but I did anyway. And it is these guys. Rose Tattoo, Australia's second greatest rock and roll band. This is Assault and Battery from 1981, which is not as good as Scarred for Life, but is still a very, very good and rocking, hard rock, street fighting anthems record.
Well, it's up, no, that's summer of tears. They were getting drunk on her fear. Around downtown to spare her pain. That little girl would feel no shame. Yeah, no, cause she was no friend of mine. And it's injustice, hand in hand. There's a love for the rich, a love for the poor. And I'm Mr. Working Man. I'm Mr. Working Man.
All these, by the way, all these guys are dead now. All died from cancer, except for this guy. Angry Anderson is still with us. Angry, of course, was also in the third Mad Max film, Thunderdome. And now, these days, prominent right-wing crank in Australia, which I'm sure it makes him a very problematic figure. But since I don't know anything about Australian politics, don't really care that much. Now, these guys, Rose Tattoo, or what is counts as Rose Tattoo now, which is Angry Anderson and some other people, they were going to tour here in the U.S. for the first time in I don't know how long, 27 years, 37 years, something. And the whole tour was booked. I had tickets for a show in New York. And then the pandemic. And, they were going to reschedule. Then the rescheduling got canceled. And then the tour just got canceled completely. And I think that's it. I think that was, my opportunity. Because I don't know how old Angry is. He's like 75 years old now. Yeah, he's never going to make it here now. I think that's it. Our paths will never cross. Well, it's not like, they were touring a lot in the U.S. when the 80s and 90s. I had ample opportunity to see them because they didn't. And when those records came out, I was, 9, 10 years old. So, anyway, it's a great record. This record has a reissue. It's not an original. You used to be able to find, originals of Rose Tattoo pretty easily in my younger days, but forget it now. This next record, I bought it at a record show. I don't know, $40, $45. Figured it was worth it. It's funny because it's not. I'm glad to have it, but I really wanted the one that came after it, which is very difficult to find. The record is Candy, Whatever Happened to Fun. It's from the 80s, middle 80s, somewhere. 1985. Ooh, exactly the middle 80s. And if it's known at all, it's known for being one of Gilby Clarke's earliest bands. Gilby, of course, went on to be in Guns N' Roses for a while. He had a really cool band called Kill for Thrills after this as well. And then he became a solo artist. There he is. There's 1985 Gilby there. Gilby wanted, Guns N' Roses days, wanted cred for being, an authentic rock and roller. All right, buddy. There he is with, hair and all that kind of stuff. This is a promo, obviously. It's got the hype sticker, like right on the record, which I don't like, but what are you going to do? Anyway, what's cool, first of all, the record's great. Candy was a great band. They weren't, obviously they look like, glam metal or AOR puffballs. And they were kind of, but they were mostly a power pop band. And the thing about Candy is the songwriting is fantastic. Now, it's filtered through, AOR and power pop. But, and nothing wrong with power pop, nothing wrong with AOR. But, it is pretty lightweight. But the songs are great. And here's what happened, is that John Schubert and Jonathan Daniel, the bass player and the drummer, these guys, they broke up after this. I mean, obviously, they were shooting for something here that didn't quite work out. And so, they moved on. And they formed a band called Electric Angels after that. Gilby was out. They formed a band called Electric Angels after that. And they had this singer, Shane, just Shane, no last name. Bit of a mystery of who Shane actually was. But anyway, Electric Angels record, fantastic. Came out in 1990, I believe, 89 and 90. And it is one of the best records of that era. Came out, obviously, the tail end of glam metal was when it got a little harder. It's like the whole biker metal era. And it kind of slotted in there pretty good. But it was just like super catchy. Great songwriting again, really strong. And Shane's vocal performance was fantastic. Really, really good lyrics. Like a black widow, you made him kill while It didn't work out. Nobody bought the record. Everybody moved on. But if you ever see the Electric Angels record anywhere, first of all, give me a call. Second of all, if you don't want to give me a call, pick it up. And of course, you can still find it streaming and everything, and you will love it. It's such a great record. Finally for this week, so this guy too. Now I got two more things to show you. So this guy I've always liked this guy. You know, I've never been a huge hip-hop fan, but I was around while it was developing. You know, in the early days, I clicked on the radio in 1979 and heard Rapper's Delight like everybody else, loved it. Back in my teenage years, of course, I had License to Ill. Of course, I had Yo Bum Rush the Show. You know, typical stuff that we all liked. Now, as I delved a little further into more extreme music, when I was listening to, harder forms of metal and stuff like that, of course, rap did the same thing. Also became more extreme. It was, the whole gangster rap thing happened. NWA obviously being the big band from that movement. But the first one was Schooly D from Philadelphia. And I remember hearing him first on some MTV special. Was it on 120 Minutes or something? There was like a 30-second clip of the video for his song Saturday Night, which I thought was phenomenal because it was so like raw and angry, but it had a sense of the absurd too, which I really liked. And I really thought the dude was onto something. The Saturday Night EP was great. And then, I don't know, however long it was, a year or so, a couple years later, this album came out. Smoke Some Kill by Schooly D. So, so I picked this up. I got it online. It wasn't very expensive. It's never been expensive. I think it was like $10, something like that. It's obviously this one's still sealed. I don't usually leave stuff sealed, but I don't know. I liked it. I like the way it looks sealed. Anyway, so Schooly, here's what's funny, I think, about the whole Schooly D thing. Of course, he went on to, most famously, I imagine, at this point in time, he went on to do the theme song for the Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But at the time, he was rap's angry young man, and he was also like really anti-rock music, which I don't know, it was punk rock. His whole attitude, I thought, was super punk rock and cool. But ironically, many rock and rollers ended up enjoying his music, and especially this record. Now, some of these tracks ended up on the soundtrack to Abel Forever's Kings of New York. But I love this record. I've always loved this record. I just haven't had it on vinyl for some time. And also, one of the things that I really like about it, again, he's very anti-rock and roll. And there's two songs specifically about that here. We Don't Rock, We Rap. And, of course, the classic, No More Rock and Roll. Which, rock and rollers love them both. One of them samples Led Zeppelin. I forget what the other one samples, but they both sample heavy rock songs. Anyway, Schooly D, you're the best, man. Also, it's like there's a sense of humor to all of his stuff too. He definitely had a strong Rudy Ray Moore influence in his work. I think he still does. Finally, this week, gotta take shit out of plastic. Stupid. I got this, which is the half-speed master of Ziggy Stardust. Now, you may ask yourself, what is a half-speed master? I've heard the term before. What does it mean? What's it all about? Well, it's exactly what they say. They make a new lacquer. Lacquer is what they print the vinyl from. Strike it right from the original master, and they do it at half speed. If they do it slower, somehow or another, it defines the grooves better somehow, sharper. And so at home, you get a richer, more full a listening experience. At least that's what I'm told. I don't know. But it's essentially a budget audiophile record. They're going for like $30. And how does it sound? It sounds terrific. Does it sound appreciably better than any other version of it? A little bit, yes. There's definitely more. I definitely hear more definition, more separation between the instruments, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, Ziggy Stardust is one of the greatest rock and roll records ever made. Hands down. No argument from anybody. So you want to hear it as best, in the best way that you possibly can. And I personally think that this is a great way to do that. It sounds terrific. I mean, you got to have a good stereo system, but if you do, you will get something out of it, for sure. Ziggy Stardust. I don't know that any version that I had when I was younger had the inner sleeve. Unless this is a new inner sleeve, I don't know. I just always had used copies that maybe didn't have the inner sleeve. Anyway, there you go. So there's some new stuff that I picked up. I got some more of it, which I will get to momentarily. Until then, if you enjoy what you see, again, please subscribe, check out the podcast. And as always, death to false metal. See you next time.